The event brought together African CEOs, international investors, pension funds, and capital market professionals to explore investment in Africa. Robert Rubin, a former U.S. Treasury Secretary, was the keynote speaker. He's now on the Africa Progress Panel, an international body that promotes social and economic development in Africa. He said although people tend to think of Africa's natural resources, opportunities exist in media, telecommunications, and infrastructure.
It seems to me that we in the United States should be much more focused on Africa, not only as a source of natural resources, but also for the full range of opportunities that exist. And I don't know why, there's no reason why our presence shouldn't be as great as, if not greater than China's.
Eddie Njoroge is managing director of KenGen, a Kenyan utility with about 6 million customers. He says his company could be an opportunity for investors.
We hope to be 3,000 megawatts within the next 3 years or so. And beyond that, by 2030, we hope that we'll be over 10,000 megawatts. So we'll be looking for a lot of partnerships.
For the skeptics, he adds this.
We have a fairly robust regulatory framework. We have a regulator. We know what our return on investments would be right up front.
Moving to West Africa, conference participant Eko Afezi is Deputy Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange.
Ghana Stock Exchange is quite a small market. We do have 35 companies listed. Most of them are multinationals. When most markets were down all over the world, our market was up like 58%.
But he's looking to introduce new products such as mutual funds, bonds, and perhaps derivatives.
One key thing that we need to do as a market in Ghana and generally for African markets is to go beyond what we just have.
Portfolio manager Johan de Bruin says he believes there are attractive opportunities in Africa's consumer sector.
There's 900 million consumers. They're scattered across the continent, but focused on some very large conglomerations of people like Cairo, Lagos, and consumer products play into that. You've seen it in telecoms, beer companies and Coca-Cola.
But some countries are being overlooked, he says.
I think a lot of the French-speaking countries have been missed by investors. I think one thing that's important is they have a common currency and a common central bank. With the rise in soft commodity prices in cocoa, coffee, which a lot of these countries are world leaders in, places like Ivory Coast, Senegal, and so on, Mali as well. I think there's more interest that will follow.
All four corners of Africa were represented at the conference, but only about 15 African companies are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Political instability, lack of infrastructure, and poverty remain the biggest challenges. But experts say countries like Nigeria, a major crude oil producer, Ghana, which has had stable governments over the last 2 decades, and Kenya are just a few examples of how Africa can be an attractive place to invest. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.